Hi to all. My name is Martin Macwan and I am from India. I work in a state called Gujarat. This is where I'm stationed, but actually I work in many other states of India. I have a number of organizations which I have initiated in India through which I work. At present, I'm sitting at a vocational school for young people called Dalit Shakti Kendra. My basic areas of work for last 45 years has been fighting the practice of untouchability and caste discrimination. So we work with the Dalits, but Dalit is a very expansive term which includes all marginalized sections of Indian society. So we've been fighting on economic rights, social rights, civic rights, and mainly I'm involved into training of the young leaders. So far as the thematic area is concerned of the in the context of the conference, this is what I would like to say that repression and authoritarianism is part of the culture, historical culture, which is the result why majority of Indian population feels they are suffocated, they cannot exercise their rights, and they are discriminated. So let me just give one example. Historically, there have been prohibitions on Dalit, tribals, women, and the poor to access education. This was the reason why they didn't have the voting rights immediately before the independence. There were other restrictions also. For example, they could not enter religious places. Women were forced to die or commit suicide after the death of their husbands. And mainly, Dalits were not allowed to have rights for property. So even if they had money, they could not buy land because by by the dictate of the religious texts, they were supposed to serve the other sections of society, and therefore they didn't require to have property. This social context has resulted today in India where there's haves and have-nots, the rich and the poor, and the gap is widening much more now than it was ever before. So, 75 years before we had the Indian Constitution, which guarantees us equal rights, fundamental rights, that basically everybody will have same legal protection and same opportunity. But we see that there is almost like a war between what the constitution says and what a social system actually exists in India. So untouchability continues unabated. Caste discrimination, caste violence, and the violence against women, it's always on the rise, right? And you must be seeing that all over in the news again and again. And there has been a lot of development. There has been a lot of physical development, inflow of the capital. But at the same time, the gap between the rich and the poor is increasing. So if we look at the figures, it's only 1% of the society which will have control over maybe 60% of the national assets. Now, this situation has led to a kind of silence repression, right, where people they cannot express themselves because they are afraid that if they voice their concern, they may lose their rights, they may lose their employment. One of the major problems that we have today at this point of time is a fear of the state, right? That is one reason that why people, though there's so much of violence and so much of injustice happening, there are very few people who want to express in public their consent on or disagreement to the policies of the state. So this is the major context in which my work is there, right? To be very short and precise. All right. So let me say that in spite of all these challenges, I'm happy because I have seen change coming, right? And why? The strength lies into education and organizing people. If whatever energy that we have, that we put into educational program, which is what we have done for the children, that is showing the results. We have to give economic opportunities for the youth along with the life skills. This is a model which is creating not only employment for the youth, but they have been becoming community leaders and taking lead and initiative into the local problems, the whole thing. Well, we started with one village with the problem so-called manual scavenging, where Dalits were forced to manually handle human fecal matters. Right? With one village campaign, today it has become a national law in India. Because of our efforts, a law came into place in my state first and then all over the India. Similarly, on the question of land, a few complaints of land, the strategy that we use is collate the issue in a large area and then fight that as one case. We got more than about 6,000 acres of land for the community. The school where we are sitting, Dalit Shakti Kendra, it has trained about 11,000 young men and women. 58% are women. Not only are they employed, they are the workforce to carry on this movement. So I would say at the end that we have to have a very strategic intervention, and that's what we have been doing. In one way, in one short sentence, I would say people are losing fear, and that's very important to move ahead. Thank you so much.